Dr. the Honorable Renganaden Padayachy, Minister of Finance, Economic Planning and Development, Mrs. Brinda Dabysing, Acting Country Representative of the World Bank Group for Seychelles and Mauritius, World Bank delegates, MRA board members, members of the management team, officials from the Ministry of Finance, Economic Planning and Development, members of the press, dear participants and guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. On behalf of the MRA management team and MRA staff, I extend to you all a very warm welcome to this launching ceremony of the Capacity Building Workshop on Behavioral Insights to Improve Domestic Revenue Mobilization. We feel honored to have as chief guest today Dr. the Honorable Padayachy to address us and launch this workshop. Thank you again, sir, for being with us. We are present today to start this capacity building initiative after a month of discussion between different stakeholders on this novel and alternative approach to promote tax compliance. We are all aware that hard challenges require policymakers to be brave, to embrace them, and to find innovative solutions. This novel approach of dealing with tax compliance is indeed an innovation and which we are ready to adopt to overcome our current and future challenges. I must inform you that discussion on behavioral insights as a means of enhancing revenue mobilization have been initiated some time back now by officials of the World Bank, along with officials of the Ministry of Finance and colleagues MRA directors. In this context, I wish to extend our appreciation and gratitude to the representatives of the World Bank, the Ministry of Finance, and the MRA directors. In fact, Mr. Mario, let me introduce him to you, is a senior economist with the World Bank Poverty and Equity Global Practice. He has worked in the Bank Development Research Group, the German Development Institute, and the European Parliament. His field of specialization are probe for growth, inclusiveness, inequality, and poverty measurement, as well as development cooperation policy, particularly European. Mr. Mario holds a BSc in physics from the University of Barcelona and an MA in development policies from the University of Bremen, and a PhD in development economics from Jawaharlal Nehru University. Mr. Jonathan, who is here, is an economist with the Bell Bank Behavioral Science Unit, where he leads the growing portfolio on behavioral insights for tax compliance. He previously contributed to analytical work on poverty and inequality in Europe and Central Asia region. He has provided leadership and supporting roles for various impact evaluation and other analytical work related to education, household finance, fiscal policy, water, sanitation, and sexual and reproductive health, among others. Prior to joining the World Bank, Mr. Jonathan collaborated with the Inter-American Development Bank, the Mexican Ministry of Education, and the Center for Global Development. He holds a Master's in Economics from the Institute of Technology Autonomy of Mexico. Dear participants, you have been nominated from different departments, including Compliance Department, Customs, IT, Research, Education and Communication, and Internal Audit, and also from the Ministry of Finance, to attend this session. You will have the opportunity to learn from the experts, to interact with them, to provide your feedback, and to reflect on lessons learned. I have no doubt that you will make your best to acquire the knowledge and apply it at your workplace. And along with your teams and supervisors, we expect you to promote the use of behavioral insights. Ladies and gentlemen, I must acknowledge that behind the holding of this workshop is also a person who has provided all the assistance, guidance, and facilities to us. She is Mrs. Brinda Dabysing, Acting World Bank Country Representative for Seychelles and Mauritius. Her support is highly appreciative. We thank you again, Madam, for your presence today and the help you have been providing us. On this note, Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for your attention. I now invite Mrs. Dabysing to deliver her introductory remarks.
Good morning, Honourable Minister, members of the board and management of the MRA, ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed. Good morning. It is with great pleasure that I'm here today to participate in the launch of the workshop on behavioural insights to improve domestic revenue mobilisation. The World Bank has been supporting the development of Mauritius for several years, and we have always been very selective to engage where we believe we bring the most value. As you may be aware, the vision of the World Bank is best encapsulated through the attainment of its twin goals: reducing poverty and sharing prosperity. Here, the work program has mainly been focused on analytical work and on providing technical assistance. You might remember our country economic memorandum in the eye of a perfect storm that might ring a bell, as might our latest report on the cane industry. Over the past years, the World Bank has supported Mauritius on its first national risk assessment and through other technical assistances, such as on the implementation of the 9 years continuous basic education schooling reform, the productivity study and report, enhancing supervisory capacity of the Bank of Mauritius, TA on insolvency, secure transactions, and doing business reforms. These are a few of the support that we provide to the country to strengthen its institutions. This week and next week, once again on the agenda of strengthening institutional capacity, we have a team comprising of my colleagues, Mario Negre and Jonathan Carver, who will deliver dedicated capacity building workshop sessions to a group of technical staff across MRA departments. The objective of the workshop is to improve domestic revenue mobilization through what we term behavioural insights. Behaviourally informed policy emphasizes the importance of context for decision-making and behaviour, namely the social, psychological, and economic factors that influence decisions and actions. In doing so, it addresses details in bureaucracies, technologies, and service delivery that are sometimes overlooked. Behavioral science also helps policymakers and policy professionals in the public sector more generally for themselves to avoid some of the decision traps and biases, sparking innovation and bringing low-cost solutions that are all driven by evidence. The decision to comply with taxation is no exception. Compliance is a function of many factors: social, what taxpayers expect their competitors or other taxpayers are doing; reciprocal, how taxes are used to each taxpayer's benefit; psychological, registering and submitting declarations can be frustrating, time-consuming, complicated; and economic, the ability to pay one's tax burden on time. So these are the factors, among others, that will be explained, dealt with during the workshop. The World Bank has been supporting client governments institutionalize insights from behavioral science in various ways, and revenue authorities have benefited from this support across low, middle, and even high-income countries. Our engagement with the MRA in Mauritius is bringing together all of this global experience to further innovate how MRA strategies are designed and implemented with improved compliance in mind, namely building internal capacity to apply these insights in an effective, systematic way across departments and functions. So this week, our team will provide capacity building workshops that will cover an overview of behavioral science for policy, behavioral diagnostics, and behaviorally informed solutions. Workshops will be complemented with follow-up meetings with select teams to identify how these insights can be applied to the existing MRA strategy, with possibly a future experimental pilot intervention or interventions in mind. The expected outcomes of this mission are to introduce the staff to the tools available to institutionalize these insights, and also to gather information from the different teams to finalize the tailored toolkit for technical and managerial staff at the MRA. We hope that the combination of the capacity building sessions and future delivery of the toolkit will place the MRA as a global leader and a friendly leader in the application of insights from behavioral science to revenue administration. I can feel a lot of energy in the room, a lot of motivation and excitement, and I take the opportunity to wish you a great learning experience, and I thank you for your trust in the World Bank.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Renganaden Ramburun, who is presently the MRA Acting Director General, has been always present and very supportive in our capacity building program we have been organizing. In fact, I see the opportunity to share with you, after this workshop itself, in an hour's time, at noon, we will be launching, along with Mr. Ramburun, another capacity building workshop on law, procedure related to identification of suspicious cases of money laundering at the Custom House for 275 participants from 24 countries of the Eastern and Southern African region. This is why I see the opportunity once again to thank him for his support to the MRA in our training endeavor. I have the pleasure now to invite Mr. Ramburun to address the audience. Mr. Ramburun.
Dr. Honorable Renganaden Padayachy, Minister of Finance, Economic Planning and Development. Mrs. Brinda Dabysing, Acting Country Representative of Seychelles, Mauritius World Bank Group. Our World Bank delegates, Mr. Mario Negre and Mr. Jonathan Carver. Official from the Minister of Finance, Economic Planning and Development. My board members, my colleague directors, my colleagues from MRA, members of the press, participant, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning. Bonjour. So, as I said, Minister, I would like to express my sincere appreciation that you have accepted to honor the event, as usual. So, thank you for sparing some of your time. Likewise, I would also like to welcome all of you. So, ladies and gentlemen, the challenge for tax administration is to optimize tax collection. I said optimize, I didn't say maximize, because we're here to collect what is the right amount of duty and taxes. So while several conventional deterrent strategies, including tax inspection, auditing, payment of tax penalties, have been implemented to enforce compliance, more can be done to ensure that taxpayers willingly and voluntarily meet their fiscal obligation. This is where we always have this issue of voluntary compliance and enforced compliance. So I guess this workshop is how we can encourage our taxpayers, potential taxpayers, to be more on the voluntary side of it, because we don't want to go the carrot and stick sort of thing. So, ladies and gentlemen, as you are aware, as an agent of the government, the MRA is responsible for collecting about 90% of the government revenue. And this year we have passed the 112 billion mark. So tax collected by authorities enable our government to fulfill the social contracts that they have with our people. So over and above its revenue collection functions, the MRA also administers and enforces various tax legislation to ensure that taxpayers are fulfilling the tax obligation. In fact, I must say that there is some shift in the way we have been doing business in the MRA. Previously, we were just like a tax officer is a tax collector. Now, the tax officer is also a tax distributor now, in terms of GOAS, in terms of fees, in terms of topping up, minimum wages. So these are new things that subsidy on essential goods as well. So things are changing now. So from you being just like an enforcement officer to a guy who is a nice guy who goes and see what problem you have got, and we can bring some solution to that, of course with the blessing of the minister. So, but however, our connect approaches to enhancing voluntary compliance and maximizing revenue often based on characteristics, as I was saying. So either we provide incentive or facilities as a payoff to reach the above objective of revenue maximization and voluntary compliance. So it was a more characteristic thing. So the level of MRA believes that while approaches are effective, they are nevertheless resource intensive. So we need to be complemented with both smart and intelligent ways to encourage tax compliance. So BI, or today is a new buzzword in tax administration, which offers an alternative tool to the MRA to enhance tax compliance. Besides, BI techniques not only inexpensive, but also prevent non-compliance before it occurs and thus avoid MRA imposing costly sanctions. So many of you present here would remember that when MRA first started paying allowances for Cs, there were some who tried to defeat the system, as I said. Some tried to defeat the system in place to claim the money to which they were not eligible. So what? Why people behave like this, you know? So this is what these guys were going to tell us. How to, proactively get those behavioral things and how we can craft our strategy accordingly before things happen. So I am sure that for the MRA, BI can be virtually applied to a wide range of areas, from taxpayer services to education, enforcement, as well as productivity. Besides developing new strategies, considering one's through a behavioral info lens will reinforce the capability of our MRA to better keep ourselves in the fast-changing landscape. So by embracing BI, I will dare state that the MRA may be considered, Minister, to be one of the first among the public organizations to embrace this new technique. So I strongly believe that this 5-day workshop in the midst of our learned experts from the World Bank will generate valuable ideas and will transform our organization in the days to come. So before I end, I seize the occasion to encourage all participants to make the most of it, ask the maximum question you can, because now we are moving from something that was hard to a soft sort of thing. So on this note, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ramburun. Ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Padayachy, Minister of Finance, Economic Planning and Development, is present with us. I wish to thank him again for his presence and his unflinching support for the implementation of different MRA projects and activities. But more importantly, Mr. the Minister, for the motivation you give to the MRA management and all the MRA staff to keep on progressing and doing better for the betterment of the country. On behalf of the MRA management, I extend to you, the Honourable Minister, and all officials our gratitude. On this note, I have now this rare privilege and honor to call you, Dr. Honourable Padayachy, Minister of Finance, to deliver your keynote address and officially launch this workshop.
Mr. Vivekanand Ramburun, Acting Director General of the Mauritius Revenue Authority, Mrs. Brinda Dabysing, my dear friend, Acting Country Representative for Seychelles and Mauritius, World Bank Group, Mr. Mario Negre, Senior Economist at the World Bank, Mr. Jonathan Carver, Economist at the World Bank, members of the board and management team of the MRA, members of the press, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, a good morning to you all. I'm really very pleased to be amongst you today for the launching of this workshop on behavioral insights to improve domestic revenue mobilization in Mauritius. As you are aware, the workshop is hosted by the Mauritius Revenue Authority in collaboration with the World Bank. Therefore, let me convey my sincere gratitude to the World Bank for providing technical assistance to the MRA on this topical matter. Indeed, today, organizations can and should use analytics to make data-driven solutions. This is what the MRA has started to do. By harnessing the power of big data, the MRA will be able to gain insights into the behavior of taxpayers to implement effective, tailor-made strategies and capitalize on new revenue opportunities. Ladies and gentlemen, during the year 2020, the COVID-19 crisis resulted in over $2 trillion of lost economic output around the world. Mauritius, being a small open island economy, could not absorb this brutal economic downturn. We therefore saw our GDP falling by around 15% during that period. No need to say that we faced the worst crisis in our history. To mitigate the negative impact of the pandemic on our economy and on our people, the government of Mauritius, under the leadership of our Prime Minister, took timely and bold measures. To support households and businesses, we rolled out the wage assistance scheme, the self-employed assistance scheme, and other key financial assistance. In this regard, I must highlight the instrumental role played by the MRA to successfully implement these measures. The significant cost of the government historic support plan, amounting to 32% of our GDP, together with the shortfall in tax revenue arising from the contraction in economic activities, have weighed heavily on public finances. To overcome this situation, the government took brave, fair, and appropriate fiscal measures. We have implemented structural reforms to protect the most vulnerable and to call on the support of the most affluent. Taking such decisions was not only necessary, but also highly effective, as we managed to avoid the worst massive payment defaults, bankruptcies, and layoffs. Moreover, our economy is now back on track. We are closing the gap of the last 2 years. I'm glad to say that we have been able to pick up on revenue collection and that the MRA has, for the very first time, crossed the threshold of 100 billion rupees for the financial year 2021-2022 at 107.7 billion rupees, to be precise. For the financial year 2022-2023, the MRA is expected to collect around 129.5 billion rupees. Exports of goods and services will stand at 292 billion rupees by the end of 2022, representing a significant increase of more than 80 billion rupees compared to the figures of 2021. These figures clearly demonstrate our economic strength and resilience despite the global context of the war in Ukraine. Ladies and gentlemen, my ministry is constantly mounting policies with a view to position Mauritius on the rock of economic prosperity and social justice. This can only be achieved with the collaboration of all the actors, both public and private, implementing policy measures for improving taxpayer compliance, such as reforming legislation and administration, is crucial. But it may not be enough to capitalize on the expected revenues. In the normal course of action, policy decisions are made to address technical issues. However, there may be minor details that go unnoticed in the implementation, which mainly constitute the service delivery. This is where behavioral insights come into play by providing creative solutions to further improve the effectiveness of implementation programs and projects. Behavioral insights, in fact, examine the social, psychological, and economic factors that affect the behavior of people. It can be analyzed, understood, and used to improve domestic revenue mobilization in any economy, including Mauritius. On this matter, the World Bank has conducted extensive field experiments and studies for Costa Rica, Guatemala, Poland, Latvia, Kosovo, and Indonesia. The outcome of those studies demonstrates how behaviorally informed messaging can offer an immediate, low-cost solution to individual taxpayers and corporates to better process information and submit their tax declarations accurately and on time. Ladies and gentlemen, my ministry is fully committed to provide all the necessary support to the MRA to further improve revenue mobilization for the country. We have already embarked on this journey with the support of key international bodies such as the World Bank or the OECD. This workshop is a concrete example of what we want to achieve. Addressing the major organizational challenge to better understand the behavioral components of the taxpayers of Mauritius is indeed a central aspect of it. To this end, during this 5-day workshop, ending on Tuesday, 6 December, the participants will have the opportunity to acquire further knowledge on the diagnostic tool to assess the behavioral insights of the different categories of taxpayers. Dear participants, I hope that you make the most of it during this course and take advantage of the on-site presence of the team of seasoned experts of the World Bank led by Mr. Maurice. On this note, it is now my pleasure to declare this workshop open. I wish you fruitful deliberations and thank you all for your kind attention. Thank you.